Welcome back to the Hit Home Podcast. I'm Natalie Hashka, city girl turned entrepreneur who turned a big dream and a bold house flip into a thriving real estate brand, hitting my first six figures in my 20s. This is where we get raw and real because life, entrepreneurship, and unapologetic womanhood deserve nothing less. I'm navigating life as a strong, independent woman who refuses to shrink, settle, or conform. And if that's you too, then you're in the right place. From personal growth and pop culture to behind the scenes real estate truths, no topic is off limits. I'm so glad you're here. Get ready for unfiltered stories, big laughs, and connections that will seriously hit home. Let's dive in. What up, guys? I'm back. Such a gloomy day today that I'm recording. Like, it's overcast, it's dark, it's windy. It's one of those days where you just like want to go back to bed and sleep all day and do nothing. But here we are together, another day, and I've got a good episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about change and cry about it and get over it, because so many of my friends, my family, my associates come to me for advice, and I feel like so many people want to change and they want better for themselves, but they either don't change or they're incapable of change. And so I thought we would talk about change, how to change, and do like a deep dive into it, because I personally feel like I have always like evolved and grown throughout my life. I don't like being stagnant or complacent. And so this is like very natural to me, but it's super foreign to so many people. So like, have you ever found yourself wondering like, what else? Like, what's next? Is this the life that I want to be living? Especially in my age bracket or like group, I feel like so many people are reassessing their career or their relationships. And like whether it's a habit change or a career shift or like a deeper evolution of who you are, like that process of reinventing yourself can be exciting, but also like super fucking unsettling, right? And like naturally as humans, we crave routine and predictability, bottom line. And like we even hold on to certain situations that no longer serve us just because they're fucking familiar. And you can't do that, right? Just because like they're familiar or you're comfortable. So like the reality is that staying within the bounds of like what comfortable doesn't allow us to reach our full potential though in life. And so I think coloring outside of those lines and taking a risk is super, super important in life. And as someone who has like navigated so many seasons of change and like reinvention of myself, I think what scares me more than anything is like the idea of staying the same. Like that's fucking scary to me. I know so many people are afraid of like change and like taking a risk, but like fuck me. I don't want to be in the same place in 5 years. That shit is scary as fuck to me. So like being stuck in a season of life that no longer serves me or you with no influence or like no reason to change is far more unsettling than stepping into uncertainty, at least for me. And like knowing that I can shift or like reimagine and adapt is what gives me like a sense of safety. So we're going to like do quite a deep dive into all of this stuff, right? Like recognizing the need for change and all of it. But like, let's first go over a few things here in regards to like recognizing like the need for change. So like there comes a point in our life when like you realize that you don't want to continue on the same path. Like there's like that pain point, that trigger point, right? And maybe it's just like a habit that's keeping us stuck or like a career that is no longer in alignment with our values. It can be like an unhelpful belief that we've held on to about ourself that has shaped us. Oftentimes, too, our limiting beliefs come from people around us, right? From like a child. Like, oh, you're so smart, or you're great at math, or like you're great at a sport, or you're so tall, you should be a model. They come from other people. And while these moments of like realization can feel unsettling, They also open up doors though to possibility when you move outside of your comfort zone, right? The truth is, like, change is fucking hard. That's why people stay the same. If it was easy, we would all be doing it. And I always use that analogy with working out, right? If it was easy, we'd all be working out. If it was, easy to eat healthy, we'd all be eating healthy. We would all have muscles. We would all have six-pack abs. It's not fucking easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? So the thing is, you have to choose your hard though, because change is hard and staying the same is hard. So you need to choose your hard at the end of the day. And when we come to this realization, we have a choice to make, right? Like, do we continue down the path that leads to the same outcome? Or do we trust ourselves enough to take on the hard parts, the messy middle, all the unknowns, the learning, the unlearning, the evolving, that will bring us to potentially like a place of greater fulfillment, right? Seeking out transformation doesn't always mean that we're unhappy with who we are either, or that we're like ungrateful for what we have. A lot of people, at least with me, right? Like, there's a family friend of mine that comes to mind when I talk about change, and she always said to me, like, you're never happy. Like, you meet a goal and then you make another goal. Like, what's wrong with you? Well, there's nothing fucking wrong with me. I'm goal driven, and like, I'm always trying to be that point, like 2.0. So you don't have to feel ungrateful or unhappy with where you are. Like, rather, it can be like an acknowledgement that life can feel stagnant without growth, or that there's something else on the other side of the fence. And we can recognize like when we want to show up differently, or that there's more out there for us, right? Even if we're not exactly sure what that looks like yet. And the beautiful thing is that, like, being human, it's in our capacity to change and evolve. Like, that's just like normal. That's what we should be doing, right? So think of all the versions of yourself that have already existed, because we all have chapters of our lives throughout our journey, and they're versions of ourselves. And like, although I say fundamentally I am the same person, right? Like, fundamentally I do not change as Nat. There are ways that I've adapted and learned and redefined myself, and so have you over the years. We all go through this, whether we recognize it or not. Some people change a little bit more than others, and like, that's totally normal, right? And like, nobody can change us. You have to want to change, right? And make that change. We all know that. But like, the power of reinvention is that it challenges us to let go of the familiar and to step into something greater. And it makes space for new opportunity, new ways of being, and it allows us to make what matters most matter most, right? We are going to look over some key factors here in a little bit in regards to like some steps that you can take. But one of the things though, that like a quote that stands out to me is by Steve Harvey. And it goes as such, that you can't drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. And I love this for so many reasons, because it's so true. You can't. Like, you have to be looking forward when you're driving. You can't be in the past, stuck in the past, and looking backwards. Like, yes, hindsight is 2020, but you have to be looking forward, right? And something else that's like really interesting to me is that I've had people say certain things to me over the years, and like, it is hard being around people with high standards or higher standards, because you often feel judged, or that they're holding you to their standards, right? And I've gotten that as feedback a lot of the time. Like, a lot of times my friends have withheld from telling me certain things, or they'll feel that they're not as successful as me, which is wild. Or they'll think that their hard isn't equivalent to my hard, and it's like, but that's your hard. That's your fucking journey. That's what you've experienced in your life. My hard was my hard, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody else, but that doesn't mean your hard is any less, right? And so sometimes it is hard being around people like myself who naturally embrace change and hold themselves and the people close to them to higher standards. And I do tend to project my standards on others. I have high standards for everyone around me and everyone in my life. And I do hope that at the end of the day, they see that that's like tough love and that it's only because I want the best for them and I see the best in them. And I'm like, you're more than that. Like, do you not see your potential? Because I can see people and I'm just like, well, fuck, like you're so talented and like you're so great. And I think of like my assistants, like I hope that they always feel appreciated by me because I cannot do what I do without them. Each and every one of them brings something to my life and they allow me to do what I do and to shine at what I do and to be the face of my brands. You know what I mean? But at different points in our life, like dreams demand change. Your goals demand change. External circumstances are going to demand change, right? And so change is good, it's positive. But like some people perceive change as bad or negative. You know, someone recently mentioned on Instagram to me that they thought I was different and they asked why I had changed this year. And I asked them to elaborate, which they couldn't clearly communicate what had changed about me. I don't really think much has changed about me, to be quite honest. And if there have been any changes, rightfully so, I've just evolved as a person. And so maybe this version of me is new to you, but you know, depending on the day and the season I am in, like sometimes I'm more quiet and shy, and sometimes I'm more like outgoing and loud, and sometimes I'm more serious, and sometimes I'm more funny. And I'm certainly like, you know, professional where I need to be, and then I can be like fun and lighthearted where I need to be in my career. And like my two brands are very like they're different and they demand different parts of my personality, but it's all Natalie at the end of the day, you know? And then there's like the online version of me versus like the in real life version of me. And it's all me. It's just that I know what hat to wear and when to turn it on and off, you know? I just don't think you can be complacent in life. And I feel like we all should be growing and evolving at all times. I remember when I was young, my mom told me to not put so much stress on myself when I was choosing a career. And she was like, Nat, like statistically, you're going to change your career a few times in your adult lifetime. Like everyone changes career every 10 years, she said. And I remember I was like, well, fuck, okay, that's okay. Because it took so much pressure off me in high school because I thought, just like make the decision for right now. Like you don't need to think about 30 years down the fucking road when you're 17 or 18 and you don't even know who you are yet as a person. And the fact is, I'm on my second career. I did spend 10 years in my first career, so my mom got that right. I'm almost 10 years into real estate now. I have now started the podcast in 2023, which I guess is another career, another business. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know what my future holds for me. I've got a fucking business plan that's the length of Santa's Christmas list. And I hope to execute as much as I can in my lifetime here. There's so many things that I want to do still and that I want to be able to put out there in the world and leave like a legacy behind. But that advice was really good to me. And I think a lot of people could benefit from that kind of advice. Like, just think about right now. Like, don't think about 10 years down the road. 20 years down the road, right? And I have reconnected with people from high school, on social media, in real life, and it's so crazy to me. Like there are people that I thought would be very successful based on their trajectory back in the day, and then others I didn't think would be successful. And then there were like these high school beauties that I would admire to be like because I was overweight and I never thought I was good enough or pretty enough, you know? And I was just always wanting to be somebody else besides me. And you run into them and they haven't aged well or they didn't do anything with their degree. And it's so shocking to me that they either went backwards or they kind of like stayed stuck in this like weird time warp, in this time capsule. And they never really got better after that time. And so I think going through life experience and adversity in life, I think that has made me have no choice but to change and adapt. And I think if you have gone through hardships, you realize that you don't really have a choice. You just have to keep moving forward. Ready to make a move in the GTHA? Let's make it happen together. I'd love to help you find your perfect place. Not in the area, but still in Canada? No worries. I've got connections coast to coast. Send me a message and I'll point you in the right direction. And if you've been eyeing the things I share on Instagram, treat yourself. All the links to my Shop My page are waiting for you in the show notes below. Go take a peek and grab your faves. Happy shopping. And so, today I want to talk about giving yourself a review. Sounds weird, right? Because oftentimes we have a job and it's our manager or our boss or the employer who puts us up for review. But I want to challenge you to examine yourself and put yourself up for a little review. And I want you to think about a couple things here. I want you to look at, where you are now. I want you to take a look at your past. And I want you to think about who you are. Who are you? It's super hard to answer that question. And when we are socializing and we introduce ourselves, the first fucking question anybody asks us is, what do you do for a living? And we define ourselves by what we do to put food on the table, to bring in a paycheck. And we're so much more than that. And I hate that we lead with our career. So when you put yourself up for this review, I want you to think about who you are. And I want you to think about what you want. What do you want? What do you really want? This is something I've had to really dig deep with when I started dating again. Because there was this new version of Nat, and I was like, who the fuck are you? I don't recognize this version. And then it was like, well, what do I want now? What do I really want and what serves me now, right? I want you to get used to the active practice of questioning things. You should question things. It's okay to question things. I was having a discussion with my boyfriend recently, and I didn't want to add stress to him. He already had things going on in his life, and I just thought, well, fuck, I'm supposed to be his escape. I'm supposed to be his peace. But there were things that we had to talk about. And all I could think about was, well, I don't want to be his stress. And then someone said to me, you're not his stress. You want to know what stress is? And she goes through the list of things that are stressful. And she goes, you're just making this man think. You're just giving him things to fucking question. And I was like, fuck yeah, she's right. So I want you to get used to the active practice of questioning things. Now, something that's worked for me, and I really think it's beneficial for everyone, is the making micro adjustments along the way. So I think too many of us live our life, and then 10, 20, 30 years down the road, we try to make these big changes all at once, right? You can't do that. I think that most people would do better if they make these micro adjustments along the way and they change the trajectory in your life. And so if you would evaluate yourself frequently and put yourself up for review, asking yourself these questions, right? Who are you? What do you want? And you just slightly veer left, slightly veer right. Maybe it's a U-turn, right? And you just adjust things along the way in your trajectory. I think more people would end up at point B and be at a better place. And I think that it would also have a lot less resistance along the way with change and the hardships that come with change and the reasons why people don't like to change, as opposed to doing the same damn thing for 10, 20, 30 years. And then everybody wants to change all at once. And listen, I love change, right? I'm here for it, right? But like, if I had to put this into an analogy, like when people come to me and they're like, how do you do it? Like, how do you work out? What do you do for macros and your food? They want to fucking do it all. They want to fucking do it all. And you want me to tell you what happens when they do it all? They don't do anything. So when I used to coach people, it's a boring process and it's long, but I do like one thing a week. So like week 1 would be for this change. I just want you to track everything you put in your mouth, because a lot of people underestimate what they're eating. They're like, what do you mean? You don't want me to do anything else? Nope. I just want you to download this app and I want you to track every bite, lick, and taste you do. Okay, week 2. Now we have seen how much you're eating. Okay, week 2, we're going to start like tracking your water. I want you to drink X amount of water. That's all you want me to do. That's all I want you to do. Okay. Week 3 might be, let's focus on your step count. I want you to hit X amount of steps every day. That's all you want me to do. That's all I want you to do. Week 4, I want you to try and hit X amount of protein. Okay. Week 5, maybe week 5 is where I actually put you on the right macros with the right calories. We're like going into month 2 now, okay? But what I've got you to do is make micro adjustments and little changes along the way. I'm making you hyper aware of what you're doing, which is the key, right? And then I am creating new habits within you so that you can sustain change and build long-term habits. If I was training someone and I said in week 1, okay, I don't care what you're eating, but these are your calories. You got to drink your water, hit your steps, hit your workouts, go to bed at this time, drink this amount of water. This is your workout plan. Eat whole foods. Don't eat processed foods. And gave you like 20 things to do. That's fucking overwhelming. You're going to fail. You're going to set yourself up for failure, right? I also believe, and this is a little controversial, but honestly, if you take a look at people, you will often find this statement to be true. The way you do one thing is often how you do all things in your life. The way you do one thing is often how you do all things in your life. And I've seen this with so many people who quit, start things and never finish a project. I have seen this over and over again with people's patterns in dating. For me, it stands out because I'm very consistent. I'm like the most consistent person I know, and I give all of myself to the point where like it's draining as fuck and it kills me. But I give it all or nothing, like 200% all the time. So I want you to really think about that statement. The quality of your life is where you live emotionally. The quality of your life is where your focus is. And your focus is your reality, right? The quality of your life is where you live emotionally. The quality of your life is where you focus. And your focus is your reality. So those are just like a few things to really take in and see how they affect you in your life, right? Help us spread the love one home at a time. And if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and share the podcast. It means so much, and it might just make someone else's day. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you want to keep in touch, come say hi on Instagram at @TheRealNat. I want to talk about like a few steps here in regards to, how you can implement change, because I think that's really important too for so many people that might be struggling with change. So let's take a look here. Number 1, like looking inward, right? So take the time to evaluate where you are versus where you want to be. Who are you versus who you want to become? And like sometimes it's working backwards, right? And that's how I look at things. It's working backwards. How do you feel versus how you want to feel? And how does your current reality align with your values and aspirations? Sometimes we come up with like these subtle nudges, like pushing us forward, whether they're like our dreams we've put aside, our callings that we've yet to step into with our passions. But like as you reflect and meet yourself with compassion and kindness, this is so key Be kind to yourself. It's like this self-awareness and acknowledgement of what's holding us back, right? And that we create space for growth and alignment in that moment. I want you to try to reframe your identity. So we get stuck in old narratives, right? We have a story that we tell ourselves and we put that on repeat, right? And that keeps us from fully stepping into change. We stay stuck in these identities that we've outgrown. You don't have to be that person anymore, right? And true transformation requires us to shift from how we see ourselves. This is where we begin to align, to let go of what's no longer serving us, to make room for the next evolution of who we are. What would be that new identity that you would need to embrace to do the thing that you want to do, or to become that person that you want to be? You know, if you've spent years in a stable job, but are stepping away to pursue your dream of writing a book, the shift might be, you know, seeing yourself as a writer instead of the title of your past or current role. Or if you've identified as a busy professional but want to show up and be more present. That has been mine for like years. And being present is, you know, is a daily task for me. The shift could mean embracing that identity of an engaged person, right? Build supportive habits. So reinvention doesn't require a complete life overhaul. It's a process. Small, intentional habits move you closer to your goals and the person you want to be. I was talking to my boyfriend when we were out of town, and we were just like randomly talking about stuff. And I said to him, every decision that I make, I think about it. And I think about whether is that decision going to move me closer to my goal or further from? Is that decision going to move me closer to my goal or further away from it? I want that piece of cake. I can have it. But is that piece of cake moving me towards my goal or further from it? Right? If you want to write a book, right? These small intentional habits. Commit to writing for 10 to 15 minutes a day. Put that in your scheduler, in your day timer. If you want to be more present with loved ones, set boundaries around work hours or people who have access to you. Or put your phone away during meals. This is a big one for me. I do not like being on the phone during my meal, and I am off my phone. I don't care if I'm out at a restaurant. I'll take my pictures. I'll put them on Instagram later. If you're at my house eating with me, I hate if people are on their phone. It's horrible. We have this like antisocial social world. So lean into the experience of somebody who already embodies that mindset, that habit, and the behaviors of the life you're working towards. It's almost like fake it until you make it, right? And then seek inspiration here. So who are the people you can look to as examples of what's possible? Who embodies the qualities, habits, or mindset that you admire? And who has the career path you aspire to follow? Find ways to learn from them. Get a mentor. They say that we are the product of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So your circle is so important, but have somebody that you can look up to and that maybe you can go to for help or advice. Quiet the inner critic. So doubt and fear often surface when we take bold steps, right, toward our potential. And this is so normal. I doubt myself all the time. I can't really say I'm afraid, but doubt is always there, okay? And before we even begin making a change, we might have to first convince ourselves of all the reasons it won't work, right? Why might we fail or why we're not ready? We have to convince ourselves to play small, right? These limiting beliefs, the inner whispers, this inner voice, right? Like, who do you think you are? Why should you be the one who gets to do this? I know those things are always in my head. And I always wonder, like, what the fuck people are thinking. These often echo voices from our past, though, okay? When we recognize that these voices are not our own, we can begin to challenge and rewrite our narrative. Ooh, so good. Stepping outside of our comfort zone and into our full potential is worth the discomfort. Let me tell you that. This is where growth happens, right? If you're uncomfortable, it means you're growing. And I thank my friends for reminding me of this, especially coming into this season solo. I really was worried that people wouldn't listen and that it would have a different flow with only being myself and not having a co-host. And, this season is all about me being solo and digging deeper. And season 5 is going to be highlighting and showcasing my interviewing skill sets. I'm going to be interviewing so many people on season 5, and I can't wait for you guys to be there with me for it. But when you're uncomfortable, it means you're growing, and that's okay. I also want you to find your support system, okay? And who are the people in your corner? I am so thankful and blessed that I have them. I have such wonderful assistants and family and friends who fucking think the world of me and who are my cheerleaders. And honestly, I couldn't show up on social media and do what I do without them. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But, who are the ones who genuinely want to see you living your best life and aren't threatened and want to support you, right? Surround yourself with those people who believe in you and who will be there to cheer you on and encourage you as you navigate this new chapter of change and evolution. When we put trust in ourselves and we believe in our ability to figure things out, we end up becoming like this mighty force for stepping into the unknown with courage and being brave. I really hope that you feel bold enough to embrace the change that you desire. And if you're at a point right now and you're questioning yourself and you're putting yourself up for review, I want you to pat yourself on the back. And I want you to also wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a big fucking hug, because those are big steps and bold moves that you're taking towards a life that feels aligned and fulfilling for you. And we have one life, and life is so finite. So I hope you're happy, and I hope that this change brings you even more happiness. And I just want you to know that we're never too old, and it's never too late to choose a new path. I really hope that you've gotten something out of this episode today. And if you're considering change, take it from me, fucking do it. No regrets. Thanks for being here as always, guys. And until next time, XO, Nat. That's a wrap. Consider this episode officially tied with a bow. Thanks for hanging out today as we got real, raw, and unfiltered about life, womanhood, and everything in between. If this episode hit home for you, tap those stars, subscribe, and make sure you don't miss the next one. Remember, we're here for real conversations and raw connections. So don't stop here. Come find me on Instagram @TheRealNat and say, hey, loved this episode? Share it and tag me. I love seeing what resonates with you, and it helps me keep the free content coming. Until next time, on the podcast that always feels like home.